Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about the behavior of particles in solid, liquid, and gas. Have you ever wondered why a solid is rigid? Why does a liquid flow? Why a gas is compressible? In order to answer for these questions, we have to investigate about the behavior of particles in solid, liquid, and gas. Are you ready? Let's start. In front of me, these pictures, which represent particles. Where do particles move more freely? If your answer is particles in picture 3 are moving more freely, you're correct. How do you describe the motion of the particles in picture 3? Particles are moving fast and far from one another. At any time I want to investigate about the behavior of particles, I have to be aware about the force between the particles and the kinetic energy. What do we mean by kinetic energy? The kinetic energy of an object is the energy that is possessed due to its motion. Accordingly, as an object is moving faster as it possesses more energy. Right now, let's discover the behavior of particles in a solid and how it affects the shape and the volume. Tell me, what's the shape of this book? It has a rectangular prism shape. Does its shape change if I move it from one place to another? For sure no. Let's discover the shape of these objects. A battery, a food can, and a mug have a cylindrical shape. A book, the bed, and this gift have a rectangular prism shape. An orange, a marble ball, and this lamp have a spherical shape. Accordingly, a solid has a definite shape which is fixed and never changes. Do you think that the volume of a rock will increase if I put it in a bigger container? No. Thus, the volume of a rock is fixed. What's your conclusion about the shape and the volume of a solid? A solid has a definite shape and a definite volume. How are particles arranged in a solid in order to have a definite shape and volume? Particles in a solid are strongly bound to one another, so they vibrate in place and not able to move freely. Accordingly, they are tightly packed and well organized. This rigid structure will give the solid a well-defined shape and volume. We arranged that particles in a solid are well bounded. This means that there is a strong force holding these particles closer to each other. Right now, I need each one of you to imagine himself as one of these particles. When you are closely bounded to one another, are you able to move fast and freely? I guess your answer is no. Similarly, when these particles are vibrating in place, there's less motion and then less kinetic energy. To sum up, solids have a definite shape and definite volume. Particles will vibrate in place because they are strongly bounded and then they have the least kinetic energy. Let's discover liquids. What will happen to the shape of a liquid when it's moved from one container to another? The liquid will take the shape of the container. Look at this liquid, how it takes the shape of the bottle. Then the liquid will take a cylindrical shape and later a rectangular prism shape. Accordingly, liquids take the shape of their containers. What about the volume of liquids? In front of me, 200 milliliters of oil. If I move the same oil to a bigger container, will I have more volume? For sure, no. The volume of a liquid is fixed. If I have 200 milliliters of oil, it will stay 200 milliliters. Similarly, in this picture, I have 100 milliliters of water. Look how the shape of water changes according to the shape of the container. However, the volume stood fixed, equal to 100 milliliters, whatever if water is in the measuring cylinder, or in the Erlenmeyer, or in the beaker. How do particles in a liquid behave? The attractive force between particles is strong enough to hold them closer to each other, and then the volume stays fixed. This force isn't strong enough to prevent particles from sliding over each other, which gives liquids the ability to flow, and then they don't have a definite shape. When the attractive force between particles in liquids is weaker than the attractive force in solid, the particles have a little bit more freedom to move, and then they move faster. Accordingly, the kinetic energy is higher. Faster motion means more kinetic energy. To sum up, liquids have a definite volume, but an indefinite shape. They take the shape of the container. Particles are strongly bonded, fair enough to flow past each other, which lead to more motion and then more kinetic energy. Let's discover gases. In front of me, these balloons, which are filled with gas. Look how the gas is taking the shape of the balloon. If the balloon has a heart shape, the gas inside will take a heart shape. Accordingly, gas will take the shape of the container. What about the volume of a gas? In front of me, these gas particles. Once they are released, they occupy the whole volume available. Let's discover the behavior of gases. Gas particles are extremely weakly attracted, so they move fast and far from one another. A gas particle will keep on moving until it hits the wall of the container, and therefore a gas will fill the whole volume of the container. When gas particles will hit the inner wall of the container, they create a force. This force is called pressure. When the pressure is so high, the container will explode. To sum up, gases don't have a definite volume or a definite shape. As the attraction force between particles is the weakest, particles are moving the fastest, and then motion is the greatest. Accordingly, the kinetic energy is the highest.